Yeah.
The Ioniq 5N?
Of course.
Let me explain something to you, young Zach. This is, by a lot,
Holy.
not a little bit, by a lot.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Smoking Tire Podcast. Today's episode is brought to you, as always, by Off the Record. Don't plead guilty to minor speeding violations and certainly don't plead guilty to major moving violations. No, wherever you are in America, call Off the Record. And I don't mean literally call. I mean go to offtherecord.com/TST or download the Off the Record app and use code TSTPOD. Off the Record is a service that will set you up with a qualified attorney in the jurisdiction where you got that ticket. They'll fight that ticket on your behalf, and in the vast majority of cases, they will win, getting those points off your record. Having points on your record can cause your insurance premiums to go up. It could potentially affect your employment. It could affect all other things in your life. You don't want it. You want every chance of not having points on your driving record. And the best chance of that is getting off the record. Go to offtherecord.com/TST or use code TSTPOD on the Off the Record app, and that'll get you 10% off all legal services booked through Off the Record. And tell them your boy Matt from the Smoking Tire sent you. All right, on this podcast, it's all about the Ioniq 5N. I have just spent a few days driving the new Ioniq 5N up in Monterey at Laguna Seca on one of America's best racetracks, and man, have I come away impressed. And on this episode, I'm going to tell you exactly why that is, plus our main topic of the show, Zach and I's 3 dream engine swap projects. This is a fun one. Welcome to the Smoking Tire Podcast.
And then tell everybody about Fight Club.
That's the first rule. And
It's
the second rule.
It's the only fucking rule. Except that the other guy in Fight Club is made up.
Well, the third rule was like, you know, if someone goes limp, the fight is over.
Right. Yeah. So that rule applies too. If we go limp, the podcast ends.
If one of us passes out.
Like the fucking hotel Wi-Fi for our last show.
That was not fun to edit.
Did the file work out? Did it save when it died?
It did, but it was like...
Is it not good?
There was like 16 files that it saved them in pieces, I cobbled together. It didn't take that long, but man, it was like an interesting thing
Will the people listening to it think it's a disaster?
No, they'll hear some jump cuts.
Oh, okay.
They will hear occasional jump cuts.
Okay. Well, if it was not an optimum listening experience, I apologize, but it was also not an optimum recording experience. Yeah. So sometimes the Bernardus Hotel and Lodge and Spa does not deliver. Which the whole point of that place is to like not have Wi-Fi, honestly. But and like because of the scheduling, like I got a little extra Laguna love. Not because of the scheduling. That's not right. That's not because Road and Track print. That's why. Matt from the Smoking Tire gets no special privileges. Matt, editor at large of Road and Track magazine, writing a piece for print, gets extra privileges. That's why I keep doing that job. So there was the launch event, and then everybody went home, and I got 2 hours of track time by myself.
Oh, with photographer?
At Laguna. Yeah, I mean, the photographer wanted to be there for the sunrise shot. So I had to get up there at 6 for sunrise, and we got the sunrise shot. But then from 9 till 10:30, I got open, hot track just for me.
Whoa.
Yeah.
And it was a long stint.
It was a big difference.
How many different cars did you have to drive to, do 2 hours of lapping?
Only one, because I wasn't doing 2 hours of lapping.
Okay.
Realistically, I probably ran 20 to 25 laps because I had to keep, stop, move cameras, this and that, right? So it wasn't continuous, but nevertheless, I mean,
that's rad.
I got Laguna for me for a fucking hour and a half, and it was a delight. And but then I was done working at 10, and my flight didn't get home until 8:30 fucking p.m. or it didn't leave until 8:30 p.m. So we did a little podcasting. Our good friend Ali Javedan came and joined us for the show. I hope you guys enjoyed listening to Ali. He's basically the smartest person I know. And then Ali, we went into town. We went watch shopping, but did not buy anything. Went to Carmel. It was like, you know what it felt like? Because we took Ali's Porsche. And it felt like that part in Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee where they get out of the car and like walk around town talking. That's what it felt like being. We parked the Targa in downtown Carmel.
You know that's what friendship is.
That's what friendship is. But but I'm so unused to friendship. You know how rare it is that I go from like a friend picks me up at a hotel and we just like go to a downtown area and like walk around?
True.
That feels staged. That's not like a thing I do.
That's true.
You know?
Yeah.
Maybe I go to a party and they're there, or an event and they're there, or whatever. But just two friends just walking around a downtown area with no mission, that feels like Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee.
It is extremely rare for you.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not a thing I do. And it didn't occur to me that it's not a thing I do until I was doing it. And I was like, I'm very fish out of water right now. Did not buy any watches. Everything was priced for stupid people. Really insultingly stupid people.
Did they have rare things that you
can't
get?
There's a cool vintage shop, yeah. But I mean, really, like it's the kind of shit Ryan Gosling would wear and spend money on.
Okay.
You might not get that.
I don't get it.
Ryan Gosling wears like vintage Rolexes, like from like the 50s.
Oh, okay.
It's like kind of his thing. And got a little gift for Hannah. It was nice. We went back to the hotel. Ollie drove back up north. And as I'm walking into the lobby of the hotel, there's George Notaris, Motoman George. And he goes, "What are you doing?" I go, "Absolutely nothing. I was going to sit in this lobby for 5 more hours." And he goes, "Let's go have a cigar." So I took one of the Hyundais that they just had like around, and we went into downtown Monterey and had a cigar at a cigar lounge that has been open for 140 years.
What?
Downtown Monterey. Felt like a fucking old, it's called Hallams, Hallams, and it looks like a fucking saloon, dude. Old school.
it is.
It basically is. It's like a frontier era saloon.
I mean, everyone went there to pan for gold, and this guy's like, I'm going to sell cigars.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't want to go outside.
Yeah. I type in cigar, Hallam cigar.
Wow, 140 years old.
Yeah, that's it. Hallam's Tobacco and Wine Shop. Yeah. Look at the photo, the elevated photo from right there. Oh. It looks like it's crazy. It's fucking old school saloon. It was nice. I liked the vibe. It was very cool. And then we went back. I went to the airport. Did you know? Yeah, that was when it was open. The Climax.
Why, I thought they'd be selling something else there in that time.
But, I mean, at that time, a cigar was about the most orgasmic thing one could do. But then I go to the airport at like 6 o'clock for an 8 o'clock flight. And I don't know if any of you folks have ever been to the Monterey airport, but there's like 4 flights a day out of there. It's not busy. So I get there at 6.
I think there's 2 gates total.
There's 5, but they're like, there's really 2, but then there's like a couple of counters in each one. But I get there at 6. Flights are not till 8:30, and I'm like, oh, and the guy and the like limo driver guy, the livery driver that took me there from the hotel, was like, "Oh, go to the restaurant. It's great." And I was like, "I'm at the Monterey airport. The restaurant is great." He's like, "Yeah, it's great." And I go, "Oh, okay." Go up to the restaurant upstairs. It's not inside the security. It's outside of security.
Oh, that's why I didn't see it. Because inside security, there's like a
nothing.
snack shack.
Yeah,
like you see it a little late.
No, outside security, it's upstairs.
Okay.
And my flight, I get there at 6 again. My flight's at 8:30. It's the only flight going out that night. So there's literally nobody at the like United counter to check my fucking bag. Like I can't even check in yet. So I go up to the restaurant. Place is popping off. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, are all these people on my flight? Like, this plane's not that big. And there happens to be a smoking tire fan in there with his wife who stops me and says hello and that he likes the videos and whatever. And I go, are you going to LA tonight too? And he goes, no, I live here. And I go, and you just came to the airport like for dinner? And he goes, oh yeah, this place is great. We eat here all the time. Wow. And I found out that this restaurant is apparently so good that locals come to the airport to eat dinner.
Wow.
And so I was
That
like,
is rare.
all right. And so I fucking sit down, got a pretty nice piece of meatloaf, some whipped taters, cauliflower and shit. And the cauliflower was like the rainbow cauliflower, like multicolored, some fresh broccoli in there. Got a real nice wedge salad. And I was like, holy shit. The fucking Foxy's at the Monterey airport is like a legitimately good restaurant frequented by locals.
Wow, I've never heard of it.
Never, ever heard of this happening. So, like, yeah, DL, like, good spot to eat during car week. Just, like, go to the airport. Like, no one's thinking about this.
That is a good hack for car week.
Yeah, like, nobody's putting that together.
Wow.
Yeah. So, that's the trip. Shall we talk about the car?
Yeah.
The Ioniq 5N?
Of course.
Let me explain something to you, young Zach. This is, by a lot, the best electric car I've ever driven.
Holy shit.
By, not a little bit, by a lot. Like, by a fucking enormous margin.
Enormous margin beyond Lucid.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
And I'll tell you why. It's the fake gears and the fake engine noise. It lies to me. It lies to me, but it lies to me so convincingly. Fucking dude, call Ali. I took him for a hot lap. He came to the track. We go out on the track. He's like, "You're fucking shitting me."
I'm laughing because if I had the time, I'd go back to like 8 months ago when there was a story about fake engine noise in an electric car, and you were like, "That's so dumb," and I was like, "I bet it could be cool, kind of cool."
Fake engine noise outside the car is bad. Fake engine noise inside the car is cool. We wear AirPods now. We don't carry fucking boom boxes inside the car.
All right.
So there's a lot going on with the Ioniq 5N. Like it's got an 84 kilowatt hour battery. It's 600 horsepower and 545 torque, or 641 horsepower with the overboost button. It's all wheel drive. It's in manual mode with the fucking paddle shifters, the fake gears. It is as close a thing as I've ever driven to like an Evo. Like there's a million modes. You can get so lost in the modes, and actually, like, I use the term in the video, I use the term mode bloat. There is too much you can fuck with. And like, I get that they've thrown all this shit in there because you can, you know.
Well, does that carry over? I mean, the other end products have the same thing.
No, it's not just like suspension, diff, steering, brake. It's not. It's like there's more. You can fucking do the torque split. You can turn the engine noise on, off, different volumes, different engine noises. You can do like full boost mode, or like N mode, or manual mode, or like there's a million things you can set. There's like different levels of regen, like move the power front to rear. Like there's a million things you can do, and the menus aren't immediately intuitive as to like what's doing what, and there's menus within menus. Like it's pretty confusing. Some of the people at Hyundai like didn't actually know how to set it, and like we're setting it kind of wrong. And so you have to like sit there with someone who really knows what they're doing and get your modes right. And it probably won't happen right away. And you definitely can't change anything while you're driving. It's too fucking confusing. So like, you really need someone to teach you how to use it that knows exactly what they're doing, because it's not immediately intuitive. And then you kind of fiddle with it from there. Now, once I got the right mode, which for me was Powertrain Sport Plus, Diff Sport Plus, ESC full off, steering medium sport, shock soft.
Medium sport, wow.
Not me. I mean sport, not sport. There's normal sport, sport plus, regular sport, shock soft, engine noise to sound like a car. There's 3 engine noises. One is like
kind of car?
It's basically an Elantra N. It basically sounds like an Elantra N, and
people are gonna get pulled over.
it's a burble tune.
Is it really?
Yeah, and it's not one sound that comes from everywhere. The front speakers do the intake noise. The burble tune comes from where an exhaust pipe would be. There's like little vibrator things in the door. Wow. And like, you know it's digital, but after about 30 seconds, because it does what it does. it's not just the sound.
It does the sound in time with what you're doing with the car.
Correct.
Right.
It acts as if it is a gas car, and not just sound. The torque curves change. It drives like a gas car. The power builds like a gas car. It shifts like a gas car. There's a, like, if you flat foot shift, it kicks. If you lift off the shift, it's a smooth shift. Like
Can you turn the shifting off if you want it to just be EV?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Wow.
It can be a regular silent EV. It can be a silent EV. Like it can do a bunch of different things. You can drive it like a Tesla, or you can drive it like an Evo. And when you're on the track or in a high performance driving situation, the gears and the noise, they make it. They absolutely make it, because it is convincing. Like I'm telling you, it's convincing. It's not like bad. It's not. It sounds hokey, but they've executed it so accurately to what you would want this system to do. When you're on the track, the problem with EVs is entry speed. I don't know how much to slow down for, particularly when you've got a regen system and calipers, right? But when you've got the downshift blipping, it acts like engine braking, and it's much more natural feeling. And I know, okay, front straight at Laguna, brake to third gear, turn in. Okay, next gear, top of third. Okay, now fourth. Okay, now turn 5, that's down to third. Turn 6, that's up, that's top of fourth gear. Okay, now
It's like a speed limiter, basically.
Yeah,
okay.
it allows you to accurately place your car at the right entry speed like a regular car. It is I'm not saying it's as fun as like a GT3 on a track, but it is as fun on a track as basically any great gas car, which is I've never said about any car. I mean, we just talked about Taycan GT, which is 4 times the price and 1,000 horsepower, and this is $66,000, and it is way more fun.
Guys, got to take a quick break for freeze pipe. You know what it is? Freeze pipe. You put the pipe in the freezer, right? If you've ever experienced the agony of harsh smoke, throat burning, or coughing attacks when smoking cannabis, the struggle is real, but the solution is chili. That's right. The smoothest way to light up is with a freeze pipe. Freeze pipe makes a unique line of freezable pipes, bubblers, and bongs that are 80% colder than using ice cubes to chill smoke. The magic is freezable glycerin chambers that come on every single piece. Pop the chamber in the freezer for 1 hour, and as the smoke passes through, it's instantly chilled by over 300 degrees, so every puff arrives ice cold and cough free. These things are rad. When this technology first came out, I used to use it all the time. This was before Freeze Pipe was a company that could advertise like publicly, because it wasn't legal in so many places like it is now. But this glycerin stuff, it's like those ice packs like you would use in a lunchbox or something. It's that, but inside the tube. You can take ice cold, delightful rips. It is the best. American owned and with over 100,000 happy customers. Ditch that harsh smoke forever by visiting thefreezepipe.com. That's thefreezepipe.com. And use code TIRE for 10% off your order. That's thefreezepipe.com, code TIRE for 10% off. Shop today for free shipping.
Wow.
Way more fun. No other electric car comes even close.
Are you going to cancel your...
Maybe.
Wow.
I'm getting one for Hannah to drive, but like it's $25,000 cheaper than the Macan I'm getting.
Yeah.
And it's you're going to go drive the Macan next week, so you'll tell us how it is.
Yeah.
But like the Macan's not doing this. And oh, by the way, full system off. Dude, I was doing third gear slides at like 70 miles an hour, no problem.
Because you could make the torque go all full rear?
You don't have to. Just turn everything off.
Oh.
Just turn everything off. You can lift off, rotate on entry. It's got a really sharp steering rack. You flick it in like an Evo and smash the fucking throttle.
Then you have 600 horsepower, yeah.
You have 600 horsepower, and then the torque, and it's when you're gear limited, you could stand on the fucking quote red line, just no
Holy
problem.
Shit.
Yeah. Big slides.
Oh my God.
Yeah, big slides. Like not an issue. I'm telling you, I got out of the car and Ron Zaris was there. who's driving one of the race cars on Pikes Peak. And I was like, this is like an Evo. He's like, isn't it? He's like,
and he has a 750 horsepower Evo.
No, it was.
Wow.
It's fucking.
This is like a gymkhana car you can commute in.
Dude, it's rock and roll.
Holy shit.
It's kick ass, and it's like, okay, you're on the track.
What tires are on it? Sticky, medium?
P0s, 275 at all four corner.
Wow,
P0s.
it's still sliding them.
So that's going to negatively affect the range. They say it's 220 miles out of an 84 kilowatt hour pack, and I think you could probably beat that if you were actually driving it like conservatively. I did.
Man.
Like, but they say it can go 2 full laps of the Nürburgring at full performance, which Taycan GT can only do 1. And they said you can do a 20-minute track session from 80% battery to 10% battery. Full 20 minutes. There might be a little degradation if you're running a stopwatch. Like, it might get a little slower at the end, but it's not perceptibly slower. I did a bunch of laps, and my last lap did not feel less powerful than my first. Nothing got hot. I'm doing drifts. The motors didn't get hot. Battery. There's gauges. Real numbers.
How many laps would you do in a row before you slow down? Or
I do like 5 flyers and then like a cool down just to like for me or to talk to camera or something. Like, you could do a 20-minute track session, 100%.
Wow.
100%. That's like their goal is like, we didn't want to build the fastest EV ever, but we wanted to build one that you would genuinely enjoy for the length of a full recreational track session and not be held back by the fact that it's electric in either fun or performance.
Yeah.
It's fucking fast. I mean, it's easily as fast as like an M3 competition. Easily. It was probably running like I'm guessing, I don't have a stopwatch. Someone can probably look it up. I was trying to make the car move. I wasn't trying to like run the fastest laps. But if you'd run the video in real time, my guess would be that the lap times were in like the high 130s or low. Like, I think it's probably about the same as like a mid-level 911 well-driven, or like maybe a Cayman GT4. Like,
so it's not keeping up with Taycan GT, but it is as fun.
No, I
don't
don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care. The brakes feel great. The tires held up really nice. Like, it was fun. Really fun.
These are huge endorsements. That's awesome.
It was really, really fun. I knew it was going to be pretty fun, but I was very shocked at just how fun it was. And honestly, if I had only done the press launch and I didn't have my own time afterwards, I would have said nice things. But they were doing lead follow. It didn't get fun until I got my own space to drive it at my own pace.
And you fiddled with the things.
And I got my settings right. Like, and it's not like we were going fast in the lead follow. Like, it's like Paul Dallenbach and Robin Shute. They're like going into this Pikes Peak thing. And Paul Dallenbach and Robin Shute are like heavy hitters at Pikes Peak. They both won a lot.
Robin Shute has the record for
I think
gas
it's the
cars,
overall record now. No, yeah.
No, is he beating the ID, the Volkswagen? I think he's like second behind that. But he has the crazy open wheel Formula looking car.
Yeah, the Wolf something or other.
So fast.
Yeah. So we were like going fast, but like, they didn't let us turn off ESC or any of that shit.
Right.
So like when I was by myself and turned everything off, then it was like, oh, okay, this is another level of car.
Well, and also, like, I find for me when I'm doing the lead follow and you only have, let's say, 6 laps total in 2-3 lap batches, there's there's some cynicism to me if I start having too much fun where I go, well, is this just because I've driven this for 2 minutes and I'm excited to be driving on the track, or is the car doing a good job? Like, it's pretty hard to assess a car thoroughly in 3 laps or 6 laps. Yeah.
And also, like, there's too many settings for that kind of pressure. To go, okay, you got to get in your car, get your helmet, like, what? But I don't like that mode. I want to be in this mode.
And you're focused on following the person in front of you and not being, punching up the person behind you.
Right.
And, wow, man, these are big statements. But obviously, like, I trust your opinion, so that's great.
Majorly fun. And I took it up we went over Laurel's Grade, also the canyon road they got there, which is what a lovely road.
Yeah.
I only ever drive it during car week when there's like mad traffic, but like I ran it at like 7 a.m., by myself, fucking mobbing up there.
There's some very fun roads over there. There's a lot of driveways on some of them, so they're not like my favorite canyon roads, but they're pretty good.
But I did like a launch control acceleration to maybe to 100 open spot, and like this thing it's probably 3 flat, maybe even high 2s.
In
to
launching
60.
mode, do you shift or does it just fold?
No,
Okay.
it just because so dynamically the only problem I have with it, I only have one problem with this car dynamically, and that is that you can't use boost in conjunction with manual mode and sound. So you're lapping. Now I get to the front straight, and I hit the boost, which gives you 10 seconds of 40 horsepower. Kills the sound. It immediately goes silent, which is a weird choice.
That's a weird choice.
And it also kills the shifting. Now, I understand why it kills the shifting, because the shifting is actually pulling torque.
Right.
The shifting isn't the fastest way to do anything.
Yeah, of course.
It's
Because it's just
fun.
cutting power.
Yeah, to simulate
Yeah.
power building, right? And you hit the boost, go as fast as possible. I get it. I wish you could use the boost. I wish there was a way to use the boost with and still have the gears, where like it sort of moved the torque curve to just give you more boost, but still kept the gears.
Right.
There's probably
Or at least the
there
sound.
there were engineers there, and they couldn't really give me a good reason, to my satisfaction, why they couldn't do that. They pretty much were like, if you're using boost, you want the car to go as fast as possible, and like this is how you do that. So like, all right. Okay.
It's like launch control, but at the same time, like what were we driving? Oh, M3 Comp. You and I both did the same thing when we drove that car on the comparison test, which is we launched it in manual mode, and we both hit the rev limiter in first. So like the fastest way is automatic.
Right.
This is like a version of that, but
yeah. So like that, I mean, that's a pretty minor thing, and
was it comfortable inside? The seat's nice. Like how's all that?
Great seats, great driving position, like. It's like a lovely all the suspension settings except for normal are too stiff, like Sport too stiff, Sport Plus too stiff. But
Even for Laguna, which is not a bumpy place.
No, but
it's
it's
just repaved it.
They repaved it. They didn't repave all of it. They repaved patches of it, and it's fine. But normal is the setting you want all the time. And the Sport Plus steering is too heavy, but
Yeah,
that's always
most cars. Yeah.
But. What else was I going to say about this thing?
They look cool. Someone in our building has a regular Ioniq 5, and Sarah was like, you know what? I think that's pretty cool.
They are. It's nice. It's a nice looking car. They're calling it like a crossover. It's really a bigger It's a big hatchback. It's not really a crossover.
The car's pretty big, though, isn't it? I mean, hatchbacks can be big. RS6
It's bigger
is
than a
huge.
Golf.
Yeah.
But it's smaller than like an XC. It's shorter than like an XC40.
The ride height is somewhere between wagon and most crossovers,
Yeah.
I'd say.
Yeah. But it's and they also have there's a setting for there's like a 4-stage regen that they call the I pedal, right? And they also have the N pedal. So the N pedal cranks up the regen to max. And when I went up and over the Laurel's grade, it is hard enough. It does 0.6 G of regen with the N pedal. So it's enough to induce liftoff oversteer. Like there's a disclaimer to only use it on the track.
So it's like driving in second gear, but at high speed.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it works at all speeds. So you can't use N pedal with manual mode, obviously.
I get it.
But
Yeah.
when you use it on the track, you could do a fast canyon blast without touching the brakes.
That's pretty rad.
And it's enough braking force to do proper weight transfer initiations with one pedal.
I mean, it's braking pretty damn hard.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Which is pretty neat. I mean, that's another thing. Like, it's another setting. There's another menu. Like, there's a lot. So
Well, because all the end products have had adjustable transmission, braking, throttle, steering, and some of those were like 4 or 5 levels of adjustability and sound.
Right.
So it's just the trickle down of that. Man,
Right.
That's amazing. Because I drove that prototype Hyundai hatchback thing. It was like 800 horsepower at Sonoma. And I remember it had a sound creating speaker in the back near the exhaust pipe. And the dynamics were a little funky, but it was exciting to drive. And the sound they had added made it exciting. And it was tuned pretty well with the motion of like my right foot. and the speed. So
both and this is like version 1. The move, like where this car will go from merely exceptional to being like the best car ever, will be downloadable sound and torque packs.
of course.
If you can make it not only sound like a Ferrari, but mirror the torque band of the Ferrari also, and the shifting thing.
I definitely said years ago, it's a great business. If someone makes downloadable car sounds, I mean, if the OEMs do it,
dude, if they
they'll
get
make
into bed
money.
with Forza, they could download the entire Forza catalog.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? I would easily pay $30 a month to have 50 different sound and torque curves.
For sure.
You know, like I would 100% would pay, or I'd probably pay $1,000 one time, or like $30 a month to have access to, you know, 50 to 100 car sounds.
Yeah, I bet other OEMs probably wouldn't. You wouldn't be allowed to like choose Ferrari V12, but you could just choose Hyundai V12.
Like my suggestion would be to go to the OEMs that need money first. Like you're getting a Hellcat for $5. Like. You know, Alfa Romeo V6, like no problem.
McLaren.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who else would that be funny?
But it was
Man, that's rad.
it was massively impressive. It's 4,800 pounds, which you know that's a lot, but you wouldn't know it.
It's not bad for an EV,
dude. If I guessed without being told, I would have guessed 4,200, 4,300.
Wow. And again, the M3 Comp we drove was 4,000.
Yeah.
This is why, and we still see this every day in the comments. People are like, never an EV for me. EVs are always boring. You should never these absolutes are a mistake because there are advancements. And they were boring to begin with. But I mean, I drove that EV sand truck and the EV M3 that was a drift car. I was like, you can make them fun. If dynamically the car is fun and the throttle pedal is set correctly and you don't kind of overspeed the rear tires. If the car does what you want it to do, then you're just having fun with something that has torque all over the place.
Yeah.
And sure, the sound is synthetic, but we don't care. Like our brain will be excited.
It doesn't matter.
You're
your brain. It took about one lap for me to fully believe the lie, because the lie is so good, and it serves the thing that I want out of it so well. I don't give a fuck. I do not care that it's not making noise outside the car. And I do not care that the noise it's making in the car, I don't care that I know it's coming from speakers, because it is perceived as accurate, right? I mean, it is like, it's a little like you guys could make up a sound and you chose to make up the Elantra N. Like that's, you know what I mean? I get it, but like,
they had it on the shelf.
Yeah, but like it's not just a digital gearbox and digital sound. It has an actual character to it. Like it's not like, you know how PDK is the same every time. This isn't. Like it's got little different kicks and different things to make it feel like a little more alive, almost like a McLaren gearbox, but not enough to ever upset the chassis. Like you could change gears like right in the middle of the corner, like it won't upset the chassis.
But if you're going straight, does it kick more?
If you're going,
if you're shifting going straight, does it kick? But if you're shifting in a corner, does it not?
Yeah, I mean it doesn't ever kick enough to upset the car, because why would it? But it kicks enough for you to feel like, oh, that's a flat foot shift, like. Pretty goddamn awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty rad.
I mean, like, it is, the lie is so good that I don't care it's a lie.
Guys, got to take one quick break for Auto Tempest. Support for the Smoking Tire is coming today from Auto Tempest, and when you're looking to buy a car, it is smart to cast as wide a net as possible. We live in a time when national searching is important. That car that's perfect for you might not be around the corner, but it might not be that far either. And if you're buying a new car, you know, going a couple 100 miles to get it, not such a big deal, really. And Auto Tempest makes this easy, bringing together listings from all the top sites online, like Cars.com, TrueCar, eBay Motors, Carvana, and many more, so you can get them all in one place rather than having to search a bunch of sites separately, right? Like I'm right now looking for our car for our next project car giveaway, and I was straight at Auto Tempest because I don't want to sit there looking through all these individual sites. I have a very specific criteria for what I want, but I need to find that in as many places as possible. That can be time consuming, and Auto Tempest got me 3 qualified candidates in literally seconds. Auto Tempest then lets you compare with results from Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist nationwide, not just in your local area. I was looking nationwide. Auto Tempest now has apps for iOS and Android, so you can use the website or have Auto Tempest right there on your home screen. Auto Tempest has all the cars with one search. So head over to autotempest.com/tire right now so they know we sent you. That's autotempest.com/tire and start searching for your next car.
I mean, it's like watching a magician. Go watch fucking David Copperfield or something. You know he didn't actually make the Empire State Building disappear, but that was a $400 ticket. Why? You know what I mean? Like, because the lie's great.
Right. If the illusion's good, even if we know it's an illusion.
Yeah.
Because then we appreciate the trick. We're like, wow, I don't know how they did that.
100%. Yeah. I appreciate the trick. And as a driver, it's the first EV I've ever driven where I have this level of control over it. Downshifting and fucking engine braking like I would do in a manual car. Like having a red line to fucking do a slide in second or third gear. Like, when has that happened in an electric car? It's never happened.
No, it's all just, you can go from 0 to 200 miles per hour, and you got to figure out how to manage the right pedal.
Yeah. And it's like, there are other electric cars that are objectively quicker in the 0 to 60 or whatever, but I always go back to the full binary. Is it fast?
Or is it fun?
Yeah, is it fast? Is it fun? Yes. That's enough. Like, how fast does a car have to be to feel fast? If a car's doing 0 to 60s in the 3s, it feels real fast.
Well, and I think the 0 to 60 thing, everyone's tired of it, including the OEMs, and that's why we're seeing stuff like Taycan GT, because they're going, well, now we need to differentiate ourselves from the Rivian pickup truck that is almost as fast as the Taycan Turbo.
Right.
How do we do that? We go, okay, well, let's set a lap record and we'll make it the one that goes around corners the most fun, the most predictably.
Yeah. But if I really, if I cared about driving a lot, which I do, very much so, this is much, much more fun, the Ioniq 5N, than even the 1,000 horsepower stuff. How often are you using 1,000 horsepower? But how often do you want a car to engage with? I would argue more so. Mm-hmm. And so if every other automaker doesn't immediately copy this, they're going to be left behind. This is the thing. This is exactly the thing that they need to do to make electric sports cars fun. Porsche better be fucking if the fucking electric Cayman and Boxster don't do this, Porsche's in deep shit. Because this is exactly the thing that it needs.
I think people would still buy the Porsche, the Cayman and whatnot, but reviews that say, I wish this Porsche drove like this Hyundai crossover, will have them shaking in their boots.
The engineers were funny. They're like, at Hyundai, we have no heritage. They're like, we don't have to lean on anything. No one, you can't say, like, what should a Hyundai be?
Yeah, true.
And that gives us the freedom to do anything we want. And I was like, that's pretty cool.
But I like that they have, and they've done this for a long time, they have focused on making the cars really good to drive.
Yeah.
The Elantra N, as we've talked about before, is basically as fast around a racetrack as the Civic Type R, which costs $15,000 more. Mm-hmm. And it's an amazing performance bargain, and it's a comfortable car. It's fantastic.
They had the facelifted ones there. There was an autocross.
Okay.
And I was the fastest.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
I told fucking Ron Zaris, I was like, listen, if I beat you in this autocross, I'm running that car up Pikes Peak. And then I did. There was heavy hitters at this press launch. Camisa was there. Ron and Vin were there. Kyle Kennard was there. Mac Hogan was there.
Fensky was there.
Fensky was there the following day. He got there. He's there the next day. But and I was fucking like, Camisa was like off doing something. I was like, Camisa, put up a goddamn time in this autocross. I was like, I'm not going home until I determine objectively that I'm faster than you.
Yeah,
which I did. We had a good time though. It was a very fun event. A lot of like really great people were there.
Did Camisa drive a Cybertruck there?
He drove a Dookie Brown Miata press car. There's a Miata press car that's like fucking like brown baby poo metallic, which is on the one hand terrible, and on the other hand I was kind of into it.
I've only seen brown on one car I liked. I think like Ferrari Daytona or no Citroen SM.
Yeah, of course.
And then
Citroen can do
it's more of like a goldy brown. And I think there was one on a Panamera, but I was like, there's a lot of flake in it.
There's a copper brown metallic that's cool.
It looks good, but I wouldn't want to own it.
I probably wouldn't get this color on the Miata, but for video's sake, I'd rather have that than like white, and a lot of them are white. Course. You know.
Talk about a car you need to keep clean. You need to keep that flake visible, otherwise it just looks brown.
Yeah. No, someone had a Cybertruck at the hotel, and the body panels were even worse than Kyle's. It was brutally bad. Yeah. I mean, staggeringly bad. God damn, do I love Monterey, though. I mean, just that Carmel Valley.
Oh, yeah,
I mean, I understand why people spend so much money to live there. It's fucking so nice.
Yeah, it's very pleasant.
So sunny and perfect. Lagunas right there. But that's the story for, where they're lapping these cars around the track. There's two groups of 5 cars lapping the track. And you're standing in the paddock, and you don't hear shit. And so it's like, there's this lawsuit going on up there about the sound and all that, and it's like, could Laguna, if this sound is good faith, if this lawsuit is good faith sound.
If it's actually about sound.
Which I don't think it is.
Right, I mean, yeah. If it's not actually about land development.
Yeah, which I do think it is. But if they go, look, we could make this the world's first electric-only racetrack and save it. Now, I don't think I think that would be easier said than done. They'd have to bring in a lot of power. They'd have to have a lot of fast chargers. There's already Tesla superchargers there. But
I mean, you also need the market to have enough EV sports cars.
Correct.
So.
But if this is the kind of thing that we can look forward to in the next 5 to 10 years, widespread adoption, then I'll do a fucking track day in one of these, 100%.
Yeah, I think if the choice is no sports car because they're it's gas or nothing, which is dumb.
Yeah.
Like the driver is having fun. The driver is getting the engagement, the performance, the balance, all the feedback that you want.
Yeah.
So you just go, all right, I'm going fast. I'm having a good time. Like your adrenaline, like trust me, is not lower because you don't have an engine sound. No,
it is. It's not as fun when the car is silent, when it doesn't have gears,
right.
when it's it's not as fun. It's not. Racing drivers can go fast, great, but for someone whose primary reason for taking cars to a racetrack is fun, not outright pace, we need more things to engage with.
And I think, look, it won't be the same as driving a Shelby Daytona coupe with like a big 427 side oiler and all that stuff. Because if you put that sound in there, then for me there's more of a disconnect between like the car I'm in the modern era and the sound. But I think you're getting 95% of the driving racing experience.
Yeah, and when you make it sound like a rally car, if it was like group, forget, it doesn't need to sound like a 458 Special. If you gave me the Group B pack, where, I can do a Ford RS 200 or an Evo 9 or an Impreza 22B or whatever, and I can make it sound like different rally cars, then the character of the car matches what's coming out of the speakers. So, I mean, just like the only thing that would keep me from canceling the Macan right now, there's two things. One is real world range. If I can't comfortably beat 220 in the real world, that's not great for my actual family's needs, and having, there are occasions where having that 300-mile range that we got with the Macan, or with the Ford, came in handy. Palm Springs and back, San Diego and back, without having to do a big charge.
Yeah.
That's really kind of... And the Macan seems like it should be high 300s range. So there's that. The other is a me thing and not a car thing, but manual seats. Manual seats only.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
So it saves a lot of weight.
Manual seats only.
It saves a lot of weight. Yeah, Ioniq 5N has no options. Color is the only option. Everything else just comes one way. The blue is, I don't know if you saw in the photos, but the blue is a matte blue.
Oh, I did not.
Yeah, there's the other color.
Is it like the...
It's like the Elantra's blue, but it's matte.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Other than that, it's like orange, black, white, blue. Maybe there's a red, but
Okay.
I actually think the blue is all right. And I think the orange is all right too. But, you know, I'm 6'3", my wife's 5'2". If we're going to share the car, power memory seats is like a big thing. It's, you know, having to re-find your seat position sometimes multiple times a day.
Yeah.
Can be annoying.
Yeah.
So, so anyway, but we're going to, Hyundai said they're going to get me one for the street so you can have a go, like soon, like in a couple weeks.
Wow.
And Hannah will have a go too, and we'll see.
And we'll see if we can get her into a Hyundai Ioniq 5N today.
I showed her photos of it. She likes how it looks. And look, I mean, no shit. It's almost $25,000 cheaper than that. That's not nothing. I ain't fucking made of money over here.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
And it's a lot more power. You know, it's the power of the Macan Turbo for 20 grand less than the price of the Macan Base.
Wow. Cool.
And then next week you're going to France to actually drive the Macan. So maybe there'll be something super special about that.
Yeah, I have no idea. Yeah. I don't know what to expect. I mean, I've driven all the Taycans, but how will it feel compared to those?
It's probably a Taycan in a Macan.
It's going to be a Mycon. Yeah.
Yeah, basically. So anyway, that's a lot on a hell of a car.
Yeah. Well, I think a car that's getting that kind of praise deserves that kind of time.
Yeah. It's very, very exceptional. And, you know, at a time when people are getting down on EVs, people are like less excited about them and whatever, this is like, oh, hang on a minute here. But we'll see how the video does. Hyundais don't do well on video for us.
Yeah, but hopefully
this one might.
The best EV is not the most expensive EV. Mm-hmm. I think it's a pretty interesting story.
Yeah, it's not the most expensive, not even close.
Yeah.
It's not the fastest, not even close. And it's not from the brand you're thinking of. Mm-hmm. You know, it's pretty wild.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. Let's see. Speaking of one thing, update. We talked about returning the Mach-E lease. I thought I remembered the residual value wrong. So the math on that was a little different than I remembered. I thought it was 28 grand was the residual. Mm-hmm. And Edmunds got offered 24 when they sold theirs. So that's a pretty decent spread, like 4 grand. But I looked up the paperwork later. I was wrong. It's 30,300. So that is like an over 20% gap in between, not to mention taxes. So if I wanted to buy that car out, 30,300 and then 10% sales tax. So now we're at 33,000, right? So versus what Edmunds got selling theirs. So it cost me $33,000 to buy out this lease and immediately have a car that's worth 24.
Wow.
Yeah. So leasing was the right move.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't buy out your leases, folks.
Like if people that bought out their Mirais, those are selling. I saw them on like Auto Tempest for like 10.
Really?
Yeah, because no one wants the hydrogen car.
Yeah,
for good reason.
Yeah,
but imagine if you bought instead of leasing.
Yeah. So anyway, that's updated math. Should we do our main topic today?
Yes.
This one, I forgot what inspired this one, but.
We've had this question a lot. That's why we've had a lot of commenters and patrons say, what engine would you swap into what car if you had all the money in the world? Dream engine swap thing.
Yeah.
It's been a recurring question, so we figured we should just address it once.
Right.
And then surely it will never get asked again.
Because every listener will listen to this topic and have it committed to memory.
Yes.
Right. Well, unlike some of my other lists I've made for this show. This one I crossed out a few things and then rewrote other ones.
Okay.
I found like better ones like later.
Oh, all right.
So,
then you should start us off.
My first one is a within brand. It's a newer engine into an older car.
Okay. Same
brand though, and that would be the Aston Martin V12 that we found in the V12 Vantage S. From 2015 or so. Mm-hmm. The 6-liter V12, naturally aspirated. I would put that in the 1980s Aston Martin Vantage.
Oh, wow.
Right.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So you want the big power in the retro.
In the retro vibe.
British Mustang.
Right. Exactly. And that Aston Vantage from the 80s, like an 85, 87. So, yeah, that. So that, I mean, goddamn, look at that. What a fucking car. But the engine is only okay. If you got the X-Pack...
Well, of course, it's from the 80s.
Yeah. If you got the X-Pack car, like maybe you get a little more power.
How much power did that make with the X-Pack?
I think it was 375.
Okay.
It wasn't terrible.
It's more impressive than I was expecting for
it wasn't
1984.
terrible. Yeah. But with a 2015 V12 and a 6-speed.
And some chassis bracing.
Yes. Probably a cage of some kind. But now we have something that I think would work nicely.
Yeah, I think there's vintage shapes deserve more modern power because some of them really got shafted, and it was either that was what was available because of oil crisis and things, or that was what was possible in the 60s because that's the technology we had.
Yeah.
So I also did a modern into vintage car.
Okay.
I'll do that one first. So 1972 Alpha 2000 GT Veloce.
Okay.
In stock form, had 129 horsepower, 130 pound-feet of torque. Not bad for a four-cylinder in 1972.
Yeah, for the 70s, yeah, it's all right.
I mean, Sarah's Fit from 2012 had the same horsepower. So, but I think it needs a little bit more spice. So I would put the supercharged engine from the R53 JCW Mini Cooper in there.
Well, that could
Makes
be cool.
200.
Yeah.
Got good whine. Like, it's got a good supercharger sound.
Yeah.
It's got 177 pound-feet of torque.
Why that and not like the Exige S engine, which also has supercharger whine and has like 260 horsepower?
I don't know, because I have an affinity for the Mini, and I didn't think it needed 400 horsepower. I don't know. I like that engine, and I have fond memories with the Mini Cooper. I think that's why it popped in my head.
My John Cooper Works Mini was kick ass. My 06.
Yeah.
That's the fucking best that car ever was.
So I think that would be a really
that's a fun
good
one.
time.
Yeah, I get
one.
it. Alpha GTV with a John Cooper Works Mini supercharged.
And the Mini engine revs to 7, which is like, that's a nice high power band for a car. Yeah, for that little car. I mean, that's just one of the prettiest cars ever made.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
I could get with that. It's all right. All right, how about I got an in family. Two of my three are in family. And I don't know if that is because
I only have one in family.
I don't, maybe like, I think I just like an in-family swap. I think I have like, I'm more drawn to an in-family swap versus like, maybe it's because like the hypothetical amount of work that it might or might not take to, you know what I mean? Like,
my friend, this is imagination time.
Yeah.
There's no work involved.
That's true.
You snap your fingers, it's
point.
done. It's like
All right.
being a billionaire.
Well, tell me what you think about this.
Okay.
BMW Z1 with an S54.
You need, here I am about to shit on my own idea. You need so much chassis bracing for all of your swap that car.
Yeah, yeah. My cars will twist like pretzels.
Yeah, because it doesn't have any. Well, I guess.
But the Z1 is on the E30 platform, right? And we know that an S54 will fit pretty straight away into an E30, right? And so why wouldn't it fit in the Z1? It would. The answer is it would.
It will.
And
it does have a very...
Z1s are pretty light, and they're really cool. I've only ever seen maybe 2 or 3 of them in America total.
Oh wait, what did this come with stock? The normal inline 6?
It's like an M50.
The M50?
I think it's a 325 IS engine.
Oh yeah, so,
is that an M50?
So the swap would probably fit.
It would. No, it definitely would.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like, yes, there would need to be some reinforcement.
Well, but this is like, I feel like that would be then a true predecessor to the Z8. Because this, yes, it is the predecessor, but the engine, it's the same one you could get in like the base 3 series.
Right. Well, I thought of this because when I was over, I was with Ali, and we were talking about going to Germany because we might go to Germany to Tegernsee in September together.
Oh, that makes sense.
He went. I put him. You have to be nominated to go, and I nominated him last year, and he went. And he's like, can we go together this year?
Can you nominate each other?
You only need to be nominated once.
Oh,
you get
and
invited back,
go.
and then you get invited back. Yeah, and then it's first come, first serve. But your first year is free. Your second year you have to pay, or anything after that. So it gets expensive. But when I was over there and I went to Alpina, there is a Z1 Alpina that they never put into production, but they have a prototype there. and I thought it has like a cool body kit and the maybe there's a photo
What
of it
engine
somewhere.
is that?
I have no idea. I honestly don't even know. It's probably just like a stroker or like a 3.5 or something.
Alpina Roadster Limited Edition, maybe?
Did they build it? I thought I understood that they didn't build it. It's a 2.7 stroker. Looks like maybe they did. How about that? I guess they did build a couple of them. Look at that. I mean, it's got a different sculpted rear.
The rear
panel.
really helps.
The rear makes a huge difference,
Yes.
doesn't it? As do the wheels,
Rears.
and then it's got the little Alpina bit on the front.
Yeah, I just wanted to compare. Okay.
Much better. The flared rear wheel arch.
Yeah.
So it's got a 2.7 in it. So imagine that with an S54.
Yeah, the flares really work.
Yeah.
That would be very cool.
Doesn't that look great? That looks awesome, dude.
You know what's funny? It looks so much better with the door up.
It does,
I think
yeah.
It looks so dumb
Yeah.
with the door down, but it's like it's a fun thing. I get it.
I would drive it and park it with the door up, but it seems every photo on Google they have the door down to remind you that the door goes
you
down.
drive it with the door down sometimes. It's like having a Wrangler. You know, it's fun every now and then to not have a door, and then a B shows up.
So yeah, I'd want a Z1 Alpina with an S54, and I think that would be possibly peak classic BMW.
Ooh. I don't know. Z8 with a manual is also very good.
Oh, that's great. That's fantastic.
All
you
right,
don't need to do anything to that.
Mine is not across family or within family. The engine, I want to do Tipo F140 Ferrari V12. This is the car where versions of it were used in the Enzo, the FF, then the 812. They just kept enlarging it. So same engine.
The V12, yeah.
I would take the 6-liter one, which was used in the 599, and I would put it in an LC 500
Oh, that's interesting.
with a manual. Because I think
that's interesting.
I think the LC is just one of the prettiest cars made.
Yeah,
it
and
looks
the
fantastic.
engine it comes with is so good.
The engine it comes with is so
got a
good.
great engine.
But I was like, I think it deserves something more special than it is, and it would basically be a prettier LFA. Because if you put the LC 500 next to the LFA, LFA is an important car, I just go, oh, the LC wins. So I just want to make it as fast and exciting, I think, as the shape deserves.
You know what I learned? Speaking of the 6-liter 599 V12s, did you know that if you want to make a BMW 850 sound really good, the 599's mufflers are a direct bolt-on? They're the same size. The tips come out the same exact way.
The spacing and everything is exactly the same? That's incredible.
1-to-1 bolt-on, and allegedly makes a BMW 850 sound pretty good. That's a good one. I mean, that would be neat. That would be. I don't know. Once you're done building that car, I'm not sure you'd have a more budget LFA. I think you might as well just buy an LFA.
Money doesn't exist in this.
God damn, does an LC 500 look good in black? When's the last time I saw an all black LC 500?
I've seen the blue and the red a lot.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen a black one on
black
the road.
with black wheels. God, does that look great? I don't know if I've ever seen a black one.
It's just a fantastic looking car. Here's a green one. That's
Green is good.
I don't know if I like it as much.
I like the green. I would maybe dial back some of that chrome, but that black with blacked out trim was exceptional.
It deserves. It's such an exotic looking car. I think it deserves an exotic sound.
I think it has a pretty exotic sound.
Nah, it just sounds like it's just 5-liter Lexus V8.
That's a good motor though.
There's so many V8s out there.
Yeah, but this is a good one.
It is a good engine, and it's
I don't
far more
disagree with
reliable
your
than the
fantasy
V12. Yeah.
engine swap, but
This is like Forza Land.
all right. Here's how about this one? A Suzuki Cappuccino with a BMW K1600 GT motorcycle engine. This is a 1.6-liter inline six that makes 160 horsepower and 133 pound-feet of torque. It's basically double the power that the Cappuccino comes in, and it sounds like an inline six, and it would fit.
It would fit.
Pretty much. I mean, yeah, it's a motorcycle.
Would it fit sideways because it's
No, it's longitudinal, and you could use the motorcycle's sequential gearbox, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, that'd be very exciting.
Right?
What's funny is two of your cars are very tiny, like roadster coupé things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'd fit in a Z1.
Oh, I'm not saying you wouldn't fit in the cars. I'm saying they're
I don't
both
really fit
very
in the
small.
cappuccino. I have to drive a cappuccino
They are
with my
so
shoes
small.
off. They're super small. I look super stupid.
The comparison
driving them.
photos are amazing.
Yeah, no, I look very dumb driving one of those.
But they're rad.
Yeah.
They're cool cars.
So yeah,
Having one of those that has some gusto would be exciting. That's
Right?
like mini drift car.
Yeah. I mean, I've never gotten in a Miata and been like, it'd be great.
Let's shrink this down a little bit.
This thing's a little bloated.
That seems like the right car for those. There's like those little miniature gymkhanas they've been doing in the UK for a long time. So people always drive caterhams and shit. Yeah, it's Pequeño Gymkhana.
Yeah.
Have you seen those videos like a caterham and shit, and they like reverse and then they go around the thing? I feel like a tiny overpowered cappuccino would be good for that.
Yeah, it probably would.
All right, my last one is not. It is within family. 427 side oiler Ford engine. It was in the Cobra GT40. Strangely in the Galaxy also.
Do they use the side oiler in the Galaxy?
It was like the only
NASCAR
car.
homologation.
Yes.
That's why.
Yeah, so they made the side oiler because during circle track testing, their top oiler was losing oil to the crankcase.
Right.
And so let's give the oil to the crankcase first. I would just put it in a 67 GT350. Just like a nice sleeper.
Yeah.
Not the most interesting one, but I wanted a big block V8. And if you
Okay.
want a big block V8, that's the one to get.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not much more to say about that.
Nope.
Big V8 and a car that
The biggest V8.
came with a medium V8.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. 3 dream engine swaps, folks, from each of us. Leave your suggestions in the comments, please.
Oh, yeah, I want to see
Please,
some
everybody,
people...
leave in the comments. What, did people contribute already?
Yeah, well, one person wanted an Ellison E30, which has obviously been done.
Been done a bunch. Yeah.
Oh, that's it. Okay.
All right, leave a comment. Let us know what you think of our choices and if you've got better ones. Well, let's go to the Patreon. Of course, if you want to ask questions of the show, if you want to get some little cheaty embargo shit, if you want to get advanced podcasts and ad-free listening experience and all that kind of stuff, patreon.com/The Smoking Tire Podcast. Also, got to plug the merch store. Go to thesmokingtire.com and click on merch, or go to thesmokingtireshop.com. We've got merch. Zach and I are matchy with the sweatshirts right now. Sweatshirts are really going out the door. People, I talked to our guy, our fulfillment guy. The sweatshirt is by far the most popular item in the store.
These are really comfy sweatshirts.
It's a good sweatshirt.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really good sweatshirt.
Nice
So
and super soft on the inside.
thank you
That's
to
what I want.
everybody who's supported so far. Oh, the fulfillment guy also said, you're going to be sold out soon. So get the merch while it's hot. I know we stepped on our own dicks a little bit last week because we were plugging the shit out of the merch shop.
And there was a huge merch shop.
There you go. And there was a payment issue. Like we got a lot of international orders, and whoever manages the payment processing stopped taking payments, and you'd go to the merch shop and it would say this seller is not taking payments at this time. So if you got denied, they said that everyone who attempted to buy merch and didn't get through, they emailed them all.
Okay.
It captured their information and they emailed them all. But if you, for some reason, tried to buy something and weren't able to get it, please try again because it's fixed. As of 2 days ago, it's fixed. So I apologize for any inconvenience, but it's fixed. So go to our merch store.
You look great, by the way.
You look great.
Perfect.
You both look fucking great. Let's go to some questions. Paul says, favorite movie car chase? It's an easy one for me. The Rock. The Ferrari 355. And the Hummer.
Versus Hummer.
I've only borrowed your Humvee.
I'm only borrowing your Humvee.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of a tie. I was going to say Ronin, which is obviously just full of fantastic practical effects. But Tom Cruise in not the most recent Mission Impossible, the second most recent one, doing J-turns downstairs and then sliding this old BMW around, that was a really fucking good car chase.
I haven't seen that one. Maybe I have to see it.
The Mission Impossibles he likes driving. He's very good at it. He does his own stunts. But they do a lot of practical effects for those. And the shots are great and the driving's insane. And I think they hit a wall and you can see the in-car camera. I don't think it was planned to hit that wall. It's bam, and then they just drop into first gear and just go. That's a really solid car chase.
All right, cool. Matthew Hicks says, I just watched the episode about the top 5 winged cars and wondering what you thought about the wing on the new Mustang GTD. The GTD looks pretty cool. I mean, I respect Ford for doing a proper like homologation special with this thing. It is not very much a Mustang in there, and the wing is enormous, and the car is enormous. The entire car. I mean, it looks like the kind of thing that Porsche would put on a GT3 RS. It looks very similar to the actual GT3 RS wing. It clearly has a function.
Yeah,
and that is what it is. This car, I don't know if photos do justice just how huge this car is. It is enormous.
Whenever the proportions are right, the car can look any size when there's nothing around it for context. Like the new Mustang is really big.
Yeah, this thing is so long and
there are
so
many
wide.
vents. Wow.
Yeah, but I don't hate the wing. I mean, it's for a niche car like this. This is an extremely focused niche vehicle.
When the whole car looks like, I mean, it's like an HVAC dispenser, like warehouse. There are so many vents here. I'm not going to look at the wing and go, ooh, the shape of that is wrong. Like this
There's
is
no
all
trunk.
functional.
The car has no
Yeah,
trunk.
this is just function.
Yeah.
So I don't care how the wing looks like. Make it not fly up into the air.
Yeah. Start with that. Can we go to the other page, please? Thoughts? Oh, I didn't. Well, this is the first time hearing of this, Flannel Bob. Did Dupont Registry buy Petrolicious? Dupont Registry has a big rebrand. And who's in charge of it? My old editor, Mike Guy, who left Road and Track to go to DuPont Registry. So Mike Guy is a very like artsy guy. He is in charge. He created the current style of Road and Track. And so I'm not surprised that what he's doing at DuPont Registry, and I haven't spoken to him, I'm not surprised he's acquiring some artsy shit. Petrolicious, man, they were on a roll and they just fucking burned it all to the ground, didn't they? When was the last time you watched a Petrolicious film?
I mean, to be honest, I got burned out on it. Just it's very hard to not be like disparaging about it.
I got burned out on when they stiffed all our friends and didn't pay them.
They were bad. They were underpaying all the creators that shot and directed the thing. They had a weird structure where you would have to go shoot the video and then sell it to them.
Yeah.
And then it was like they were like, I don't know, build me the house and then maybe I'll buy it later, but I'm not sure. Something.
Every film was a spec film.
And I just got, this is gonna sound weird in the car world, I got really tired of what seemed like videos where rich guy went and bought car because he wanted to be cool rich guy. When they started out, the stories were like really genuine, and they were like, I've loved this thing for a long time. I've had this for 30 years. It seemed like there were more and more people being featured that had bought the car 6 weeks ago because they liked it. And I was like, well, okay, there was no like meat to the story, and they didn't do that.
Well, that happened.
The cars
I mean,
that hard.
there's only so many stories.
I know.
You know, there's only so many stories. But I'm not surprised that DuPont Registry, which is a brand without a real aesthetic, now being helmed by someone who is so aesthetically driven, like Mike Guy, rather than developing an aesthetic in-house, they could acquire Petrolicious for probably very relatively small amounts of money and acquire that aesthetic along with it. And maybe some talented people. I don't even know who's working there anymore, but
I don't know.
But I'm not entirely surprised. That's what he's doing down there is what he was fighting with the suits about at Road and Track, and they didn't want him doing with Road and Track. So he fucking left and found somebody who would let him do it. Okay, Jake wants to know about R34 GTRs. It's always been my dream car. It seems the only way I'd ever get to own one is by financing a large majority of the cost. Considering R30, this is going to be tough because this is an investment question. The question is, are R32s good investments? I know, or R34s good investments. I know cars, she says, should never be looked at as investments, but do you consider the 140 to 160K price range a safe entry point for R34s if you plan on holding the car for a while? That's a tough one. Probably. I think probably. Particularly because it's insurable on declared value, right? So if something happens to the car, it's not like you're not gonna get your money back. If the car burns to the ground or gets totaled, like you get your money back, right? But at the same time, I don't like the idea of financing collector cars.
Yeah.
I really don't. I personally wouldn't do it. I don't like when other people do it. You know, I understand why. If you were super rich, like 3 years ago when the fucking interest rate was like nothing, then if you could afford to pay off the loan at a moment's notice, then sure, finance it.
Because you can use your capital somewhere else.
Because you can use your if the interest rate's 2%, but you're earning 12% over here, finance it. But if the interest rate is high, and you're buying something because on a finance because you couldn't afford to buy it otherwise, that's a dangerous place to find yourself.
And because we're so close to the 25-year world, like I think if you had done this a few years ago when the cars were less expensive and we knew they were going up and like we watched your R32 double in a few years.
Yeah.
But now it's like, are we at peak R34 price? I don't know. Are we? Is it? It's
right.
That's really it's a gamble. I think it's kind of like late in the game.
Yeah. I mean, they'll probably still go up incrementally, but that really big jump happens right before they became legal.
Yeah.
For R34s. Like, because people like Top Rank provided the opportunity to buy one in Japan and hold it until the very day it's legal, you know, that kind of stuff. So, like, I think, and there's also like condition. Like, if you buy a great M-spec NER, yes, that will be something that will always have value. But if you're buying like a 120,000 mile one that's been painted, but it costs you 150 grand to get in the door.
Yeah. And I just thought of this. It's all kind of existed in the theoretical ether, right? Everyone's like bought these in Japan. There's this big moment coming when they become legal. Everyone can drive them around. But that means that people haven't had the ownership experience. So like when you had yours and you had to replace the air conditioning system and it was like, this is impossible.
Yeah.
You didn't know that when you bought the car.
Yeah.
You thought it was simple.
Thought it was a Nissan.
We may discover that, or people may discover that owning these is more complicated and more expensive than they thought, and that may actually drive the price down a little bit. So I think it would be a risky idea right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you can save up and buy a quote lesser car like a 32 or 33, but own it outright, own it in cash, not finance it, I'd probably do that. I mean, the experience of 32, 33, 34 is probably 80% the same. It is. It's mostly the same. You get a sixth gear. I like how the 34 looks, but like you can
Sixth gear and faster computing processing for the all-wheel drive and steering system.
But the overall vibe is like mostly the same with any generation of the car. So it's nuanced difference. I wouldn't finance one if you're financing it because you couldn't otherwise afford to buy it. I wouldn't do that. Austin says, you said several times that the 997 generation is the sweet spot size-wise for 911. Could you give a retrospective comparison of the different generations of 911, 997 to now? Well, that's very hard because there's like 7 engines for each one.
Well, the first 911 is very slow compared to the new one.
I mean, so the thing is, as the cars got newer to today, in a lot of ways, they got objectively better. They're faster, they handle sharper, the steering feels sharper, the dampers are more advanced, so they can handle better, but they also, in some cases, ride better. The build quality gets better. The big thing for me is the size of the car. That's the defining thing. But the car is much bigger, and so it's hard for me to say without driving them all back to back. Like I think these people are lying when they can go into their brain and choose a nuance of some car and compare it to 7 other cars when they haven't driven any of them in years. I don't think people are being honest, or I think they're probably being honest, but I don't think they're actually
not as accurate as they might think.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, Kamisa's got notes he could go compare to for everything,
which is probably why he keeps notes, because
which is probably why,
it's very scientific
maybe why,
good.
but like the biggest thing is really the size. I don't mind the turbo motors in the new cars. I like the turbo motors. I think they're cool. Like they're responsive and they're powerful, and I don't think they take anything away from the driving experience. But the car keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and it holds the same amount of people and stuff.
Yeah, I was behind. Somewhat related. I was behind an RS6 yesterday, and I looked at how wide the pear shape goes out from behind. There is like 1.5 feet of fender before you see the shoulder of the driver, and it's true with so many cars. There's just a lot of hip, a lot of wheel, and when you are sitting in it, you're the same size person. The seats are about the same size. There's just like a lot of stuff on the outside. That's why I think we like the 997, because you can park it easier. It looks right. It looks good. It's comfortable inside. Still has the same amount of space in the front, basically. Yeah. And that's kind of all you need.
Sports cars should be a little smaller. The road hasn't gotten bigger. Maybe okay, on a track you don't notice it's bigger, but like you go up Angeles Crest or one of our canyon roads, like those roads were like laid and painted in like the 60s. Like the road is the same size. They're not widening that road, but the car being a foot wider or whatever, is not. You got to move a little bit in the lane. So that's the biggest difference. Tom says, have you ever had someone try to buy a watch off your wrist? Had a chance to attend the DC watch show, and someone literally tried to buy my Mint Canyon off my wrist.
Wow.
I wonder, what did they offer, Tom?
Yeah, we want to know.
Can we fucking sling these on the flip? Bro, I need a couple jihads. Let's fucking go.
I said if someone offers me 50, I'd probably do
50
it.
50 Gs?
Yeah.
You'd move? I wouldn't blame you. 50 Gs, I'd sell it too.
Because then I'm like, ooh, can I buy a house?
Yeah.
That's the only reason I would
For 50,
do that.
if you could get 50, I would definitely take
Have
that.
your blessing. I'll give you 10.
Yeah, no one's ever tried to buy a watch off my wrist. Someone implied they would. When I went to Barrett-Jackson in Scottsdale one time, and I learned a very valuable lesson there, which is that unlike a T-shirt or a hat or a pair of shoes, you can't wear a watch ironically. You know what I mean? Like you can't I guess not a great example, but like Macklemore, right? Remember like the song Thrift Shop, right? You're wearing your fucking grandpa's fucking coat, but like you're young and cool and wearing an old man's coat. It's like you're like ironically wearing it, right? Kind of. You can't do that with a watch because people just don't look at you the same way. Like,
what watch do you think someone would try to wear? Like a Mickey Mouse watch?
I tried.
Okay.
A Mickey Mouse watch, maybe. You probably could do it. You could do it that way, where if you were like real rich and you wore like a Swatch or like a Disney watch, like, okay, that's how you could do it. But I went to Barrett-Jackson and I asked Crown and Caliber, who was the sponsor at the time, to lend me like the biggest, gaudiest Breitling that they had. So you can't do it that way.
Right,
you can't go the other way.
Because I think it's because a lot of people do that intentionally.
Yes,
seriously.
Right. And so to get back to the question, of people that saw me that knew me were like, what the fuck are you doing with that thing? Looks ridiculous on you. But then one giant Russian guy came up to me and was like, this is very nice watch. How much? And it wasn't mine. Like, it wasn't mine to sell. It was Crown and Caliber's watch. And so I was like, I'm not really trying to sell it. But the only time someone tried to buy a watch off me was a very ugly watch that I was trying to wear ironically.
You could have brokered that deal. You could have called Crown.
Yeah.
And be like, how much do you want? And they'd say 100. You tell the guy 110.
Very nice. How much?
And then you make 10. Right?
Yeah. So no one's ever tried to buy a watch that I owned off of me. Doug Levy, anything from Watches and Wonders? Yeah, Watches and Wonders was this week. It's the show where manufacturers release their new shit. Not a lot great. The Tudor black was nice, but that didn't really do much. Do you see Rolex now has a deep sea in full gold? So like the super thick, chunky dive watch that can go down to like 12,000 feet, like where no human could go. It's a steel watch. I have one of those Royal Navy diver ones, and they now have it in full gold.
Well, it'll sink faster, right?
Dude, it is. What? Oh, is this the website for?
This is the website for.
Oh yeah.
I was wondering if it was up there, but
I don't know. But just Google full gold Rolex Deep Sea. This watch is No, go to keep going.
What is it?
There, down to the news, past the shopping because it's not out yet. Keep going. There. Introducing the Deep Sea goes full gold. This watch is 330 grams of gold. It's 0.7 of a pound for a watch. I have one of these in steel that's like
Wait, the watch weighs 0.7 pound?
Yeah.
Or
the watch does.
Okay. No, but
Do you know how heavy that is for a watch?
It's very heavy.
It's so heavy.
0.7 of a pound.
The heaviest watch I've ever tried on before this was about 250 grams. And this is 330. Jeez. It's so much gold. And I actually own the steel version of this watch, and I wear it maybe once a year. I hate wearing it. It's way too heavy. And it's in steel. Gold is like double the fucking weight of this thing. And oh, by the way, like this is like we're kind of going back to like 80s bling right now, where shit is just because like the people the people at the low to mid end are not buying watches right now. The only people that are buying watches are like the douchiest, richest people. And they're looking for things to spend more on.
Right.
So here's a watch that goes far deeper than a human could ever go. It's fucking $50,000, and it's just a giant gold brick. On the fucking, yeah.
You know who's gonna like it? The guy that offered to buy your watch at the Barrett Jackson thing.
Yes.
He probably bought one of these.
He's got one on order for sure. But that is ridiculous. So that's what I noticed from Marks & Wonders.
Whoops.
Oh. Tim A says, what car model would you invent by combining two existing trims from a manufacturer, like a 911 Dakar GT3, Maybach E-Class Estate, Subaru WRX Wilderness? That's not a bad...
Oh, I mean, if I could do like V8 Vantage manual, but Safari Edition, I'm done. That's fine. Yep, sure.
Yeah, it's not from a trim from a manufacturer, right? You know what I mean? Like that's
combining two existing trims,
but within the manufacturer.
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna merge the two together. I don't care.
See, the thing is, like, within the manufacturer, like
they already have those.
I think they do a lot of that kind of stuff. You know,
yeah,
like the Dakar. I don't. The Dakar wouldn't be better if it had a GT3 engine. No, like it needs the turbo engine.
Yeah, you need the torque.
Yeah. And like a Maybach, what's the point of a Maybach if it's not huge? It needs to be massively spacious.
Yeah, otherwise you're just getting like a fully optioned Maybach, or fully optioned E-Class.
Yeah.
With
I do. One of the maybe it was the Drive or someone just did an article about some super rare Impreza that's like the Gravel Attack edition or some shit, and it's an Impreza wagon, but like rally card out factory. I think it's on the Drive from like yesterday or 2 days ago. It's red. And that looks kind of cool. I would want like a Crosstrek with like
a turbo.
Yeah,
that's what we
want.
want.
Like a Crosstrek with a turbo would be pretty much it.
I would make Subaru BRZ WRX just to finally get a turbo engine in the BRZ.
Yeah.
That's what I would use this loophole for.
Sure. Okay, all-wheel drive bias, looking to get a Subaru Forester XT as a daily. They're all are CVT. Thoughts on that vehicle? Never driven one, never even thought about one.
2017.
Sarah
and I test drove a 22 when she was looking at RAV4s and CRVs, and we ended up going with the RAV4. I mean, she wanted better gas mileage, but what was so interesting about it is the Subaru was trying really hard to be outdoorsy. There were so many different materials on the inside. There was like orange piping because the car was orange. They had like plastic on the door that was supposed to look like tire tread, and there were like mud guards. There was just so much stuff. It was like you were wearing 6 different jackets trying to be like activities. It just seemed really busy inside, and it looked cluttered and not really worth the price compared to like the more refined look of some of the competition. So that was my feeling on the whole thing. How it drives, it was a CVT. It wasn't that fast, and it got bad gas mileage. So that was also why we didn't go with it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think if you live in the right environment and you do those things, like you can clean it out with a hose and that shit's cool. It's like a Wrangler car, but it wasn't really for me.
I have no knowledge of this car at all. But like, let's go generally. The general thought is, should I get? There's two choices. The color I don't care for, with 40,000 miles, costs 23 grand, or the spec I like more has 104,000 miles, but is 16 grand and has a 6-month powertrain warranty.
6 months is not long enough.
6 months is not long. But like, how are these the only two choices? There are no Subaru XTs between 40 and 104,000 miles? That's such a spread.
Depends on where all-wheel drive bias lives.
That's a spread.
Yeah. There may not be much on the market. I would definitely go for the one with lower miles.
I mean, 40 to 104, that's like years worth of driving.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like...
You could probably drive the one that has 40 to 60 and then sell it for 21.
Yeah.
But the 100, it's going to be really hard, I think, to resell the 104,000 mile one.
Yeah.
Or be harder.
Yeah. I agree. All right, we already talked about Isaiah's question. John wants to know about the new 4Runner. I don't know anything about it. Didn't look.
I'm just glad it has a new transmission.
A couple people were at were arriving to Monterey who had been to that Toyota thing in San Diego. It sounded like a fucking shit show. I'm so glad I didn't try to go. It was like 5 cars in 2 days.
Whoa.
It was.
because you have so many trim levels,
It was
right?
It was horrible. It was not good. Joe says, why do Vipers sound like doo-doo? Vipers sound like doo-doo mainly because you only are hearing one side of the exhaust, because most Vipers are side exit exhaust. The Vipers that they built for a couple years that have rear exit exhaust sound much better. They sound more like Huracans and stuff. But when you're hearing, it's like with a Cobra, when you've got a side pipe, you're hearing half of a V8, which is more pleasant than half of a V10.
Well, I think some inline 5s sound good, but these are also giant cylinder inline 5s. And I think you can't just increase the engine size and it will always sound good.
Mm-hmm. Luke says, what stands out as a more fun car in your memory, an S54 swapped E30 or the S65 swapped 1M? S54 E30. Dre in Houston says, how has the massive initial depreciation of EVs affected new sales of the Taycan and other EVs? It's definitely down. I mean,
EV sales are down in general.
Yeah.
Kind of all over the board. I don't know if people are paying attention. I don't know if new shoppers are aware of the depreciation. But we know that the sales are dropped for pretty much every OEM.
Yeah, and EV sales are still growing. They're just growing slower. So they're not like, it's not like they were growing and now they're falling. They're just growing slower. But dealers, there's a lot of factors. There's the interest rate stuff. There's the depreciation. There's the fact that everyone is well aware of how bad the fucking infrastructure is. There's concerns about longevity with electronic components, and dealers who don't want to sell EVs because they know that they're not going to have the servicing revenue, the same kind of servicing revenue.
I mean, they definitely don't want to sell them.
Bad Gardener says, is there not an opportunity for either of y'all to be a consultant with OEs to give guidance on products before production? There is. I have worked for, and Zach has as well, we've worked for a couple of research firms that have hired us on a freelance basis without telling us what manufacturer hired them in order to give our opinions about things surrounding cars and the industry in general. Correct. So it's not a full-time gig, but it's definitely happened a couple of times here and there. And it's easy money, as it were. Give your opinion anyway on a Zoom call, and here's some cash. Koji, outside of Jerry Seinfeld, do you have a favorite celebrity Porsche?
I don't really care who owned it. I mean, he says James Dean's Little Bastard 550. That car is probably exciting to drive. But for me, it doesn't really matter who owned the car. I'm just more interested in the car itself. Yeah.
I don't really give a shit about the celebrity ownership of a car in the way that, like, unless, I mean, I suppose like Janis Joplin's 356, like she painted it, like psychedelic. There was something that they did to it that was a reflection of their personality. So like there could be like that.
I also just, well, I mean, I like Keanu Reeves, but I don't need to buy his 993 if I was going to buy a 993.
Yeah.
Maybe if I was super rich, then I'd go, oh, it also was owned by, John Wick. But I don't know, it doesn't really matter to me. Especially, you make a good point. Unless they made it,
they've made
a projection
their own.
of their personality.
Right.
Then it's just like, oh, they owned it. They
Yeah.
sat in it. It's still a car that's green or
Right.
black.
Yeah. Jason, you're asking about boring cars, but here we go. 2019 Ford Expedition had the recall issues, so new trans and cam phasers in great shape, 78,000 miles. Would you hold on to it or say it's a good time to sell and move into a 2-year-old GLS for improved quality and luxury? Would use as my wife's daily, so or
road trips.
GLS or X7. I would not want a used Mercedes or BMW mid-level SUV. That's not something I'd want. I don't think they're that luxurious. I don't think they're that much higher quality.
Than the Expedition.
Yeah.
I mean, the Expedition Platinum is probably a very comfortable car. It doesn't look fancy inside, but I bet the seats are really good, just like you'd get in the Mercedes or the BMW. I don't know. That's hard because, if you feel burned by the Expedition and if you're worried that it's going to have future problems, you could go, okay, we could sell it now and just tell the buyer, like, look, all this stuff was just addressed. But then you're jumping into a used German car. So
yeah,
it might be a lateral move in terms of what your future maintenance costs will be.
Yeah. I mean, I've driven a GLS and an X7. Like, I'm not, like, blown away by those things. And so it's like the question he's asking isn't a question for us. It's like, where's your scale? Do you own this Expedition in cash?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Are you making payments on it? Or
Right.
do you own it outright? Do you need to it's a good what's a good time to sell? Like that Expedition is already depreciated to a point, right? Like if it's in good shape, whether it's got 78,000 or like, there might be a drop at 100,000, but like that thing's going to last like a pretty long time.
And the MSRP for these is all over the place. They started at 50, but you could option them up to 80, apparently. So to your point, we don't know what his car's worth.
Yeah.
And we don't know what the prices of the cars that you're shopping for.
Yeah.
So are you going to be stretching and adding? Do you have to sell this car and then add 30 grand to it to buy one of the Germans, or is it a total lateral move? I don't know.
What I focus on here is the terms improved quality and luxury. It's only marginally so. Because especially considering we're not talking about brand new cars. We're talking about 2-year-old cars where now there's a whole bunch of other issues that could come in.
Very
Who owned
true.
it
Yeah,
first?
right.
Is it what is the condition of it? Blah blah blah. I
would hope they held up well because 2 years isn't that long, especially for like an X7. I mean, the back seats, if they have kids, might be kind of covered in Cheerios, but I feel like the car should hold up pretty well.
I just feel like a regular ass GLS and a regular ass X7 is like not that nice.
Before we get out of here, guys, give us just a second for Give Me the VIN. Do you have a car you're trying to get rid of? Could be a nice car, could be a crappy car, could be a cheap car or an expensive car, could be a truck or a sports car. It doesn't matter what kind of car it is because Give Me the VIN wants it. They will give you top dollar easily for your car. No headaches. Just type in your VIN number or your license plate number and you will have an offer instantly that is guaranteed to beat what those big box auto stores are offering you. So go to givemethevin.com/smoking tire. That's givemethevin.com/smoking tire to get an offer on that car you want gone instantly. Givemethevin.com/smoking tire. And thank you to Give Me the VIN for sponsoring today's show.